Hi, I'm Angie Caliendo. I'm the Warren Elpert Professor of Medicine and the Executive Vice Chair of the Department of Medicine.
And I'm Karen Tashima, Professor of Medicine and the Vice Chair for Faculty Affairs in the Department of Medicine.
So I would start by saying that, your career is like a journey, I think, Karen, and a journey that people should enjoy. And it can take any number of twists and turns that you might not predict and might not expect. And I think understanding that there's not just one path or not just one right goal or approach for you is very important. Because if you can keep your mind open, then when opportunities arise, it's easy to walk through that door and take advantage of opportunities. I think some people can get locked into feeling like the decisions around my career are either right or they're wrong, instead of the sense that it's a choice. And if I make the choice and I like the choice, great. But if it doesn't work out the way I think, then okay, I'll make another choice and move on in maybe a different direction. I think having that appreciation can be very helpful.
I agree, Angie. And, I think being in an academic setting gives you so many opportunities. And you can be a teacher, you can be a researcher, you can be an administrator at some level, if you'd like to. And so there are many different ways to go. And I think when you're just starting out, you want to pick some path, and you always want to be a great clinician. You want to hone your teaching skills as much as possible, because we're at Brown Medical School and have the residency program and fellowship. So, you want to be the best version of yourself and see what you like. And I totally agree with that, because when you're junior, you may start in one pathway and find really what, lights your fire in.
Yeah, totally agree.
I think that, that there are obstacles. Being promoted is a really big endeavor. It's seen as a really big hill to get over. And you do have to just pay attention to it in smaller increments. So if you can, make sure that your CV is up to date, any talks that you give, make sure that's on there so that you're not scrambling at the end trying to remember, what did I do this year? Just keeping that up to date is really important, so that you really have something to show for at the end of each year. And then sitting down with your division director and saying, this is what I did this year, these are my goals for next year. Just give some time for reflection at that point.
I think that's great advice. Like understanding the process, understanding the goal, what do I have to meet? And then setting realistic goals each year. It's like little bites. And if you just look at the promotion process as one big event, it feels daunting and overwhelming. But if you break it down, and each year I'm going to have a couple of goals. Maybe I'm going to develop a curriculum or give a lecture at a regional or national meeting, or I'm going to write a paper, and just break it down and do a couple of activities each year. When you turn around at the end of 6-7 years, you'll realize that you've accomplished a lot of what you need to do to hit the promotion.
And if you've developed a really wonderful lecture, give it in multiple venues. Offer to give it someplace else. Get yourself known in the region. Reach out to your colleagues. Figure out ways to do that. I think mentorship is also very important. So identify some people who can give you some good advice along the way, give you some opportunities. You need to really seek those things out. Seek out mentorship, seek out opportunities. You can't necessarily just wait for them to come to you.
Yes.
So part of my role in this position is really to try to make some of those opportunities more obvious through a faculty website, as well as making the process of promotions more obvious as well. It can be challenging to figure out what are my steps. And so that's what I hope to show people and get them involved early in their career in terms of promotion. Like, don't come to me at right at the cusp of wanting to get promoted, but come and see me early on in the first couple of years, and we can talk about it and meet along the way. And I'm happy to do that. Division directors are happy to do that. And your mentor may be happy to do that as well. Mentors are there. They could review your CV, and don't be shy about, sending your CV around and saying, how does this look? Does this look like a reasonable path for me right now? What else can I do? What else do I need to do?
And I think you bring an interesting point. There's a proactive component to it. If you wait for mentorship to come to you, it might not always happen. But if you reach out to a variety of people along the way, I think that will be very empowering and really help along your career development. It's difficult to know when opportunities come, which ones are really considered high value opportunities and which ones honestly are just a distraction in taking you off the path. And things can look interesting, but not be very helpful for your career development. And that, again, is where finding someone more experienced, finding someone senior to say, I've been asked to do X, Y, or Z. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a good opportunity? Exactly. I think that can be very helpful for you.
Right. So take some time to think about what's currently on your plate. What are you doing? Do you have the bandwidth to do something additional, or is it something you want to do maybe down the road? It's very important to be, involved in committees and in, being part of residency selection committees or various activities like that. But it depends on really what else is going on in your career and in your day-to-day work. And do you really have the time to do that?
And I will say some of the most joyful parts of your career can be your national work. There's something very exciting about bringing ideas to the national stage and also getting ideas and opportunities that you see nationally and bringing them home and enriching your practice or your division back at home. Karen, I think another obstacle that you have to be aware of is the whole idea of procrastination. If you find yourself unable to complete a task, I think you have to step back and reflect, why is that? Is it because you don't have the time? Is it because you don't have the skills? Is it because you don't have the interest? And I think if you take time to reflect on that, each of those has a different approach to helping you work through it, right? If you don't have time, then we think about what comes off your plate. If you don't have the skills, then we figure out how to help you develop skills. If you genuinely don't have the interest, it's a time for you to stop and pivot and say, maybe this is telling me that I'm moving my career in a direction where I don't really love it. I don't have a lot of passion. When you don't have passion for what you do, it's work instead of joy. And it doesn't flow easily when it's something that you just don't have a love to do.
Right. And one of my former mentors, says it's got to be fun. We want to have fun at work. So, we do a lot of serious things at work, and there are a lot of things that we are responsible for. We're in general, physicians are very responsible people, but it's got to be fun too. So, and I think that's possible, to have enjoyment in your career.
Completely agree. I don't want to ask you, how many grants did you write before one finally got funded? Or how many times have we submitted manuscripts that, were not warmly received, even though we thought they were brilliant? And I think that ability to be grounded in reality, that everything you do isn't going to work the first time, right? It needs to be edited, tweaked, and to have the resilience to say, okay, I got some interesting feedback. I'm going to step back and I'm going to realign and I'm going to modify what I'm doing and take that advice and allow myself to move forward. And resilience may be one of the single most important characteristics of just driving success in your career.
Mm-hmm. And you got to build that muscle then.
Yes.
So I think that's a really good point. And, sometimes we say, well, why don't you get involved on the national level? It's in some committees in your division, your specialty. And sometimes it takes a couple of times to apply and show them that you really are interested. And so getting rejected once, twice, three times the charm. So you can, then you can contribute on the national level and be on a committee. So, and I think what you said about networking is really important too. Like we love to go to national meetings, meet people who are interested in the same things that we are, and you get to meet interesting people and work on collaborations and really network, and it's really fun. You might miss an opportunity, but there's always another opportunity down the road. So even if you miss something, you can try it again or look for something else. There are many opportunities for people in medicine.
It all
Not sure
ties
what
into
other-
that resilience that we were talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe something did pass me that I should have grabbed, but more will come and shake it off and put yourself back out there.
Right. I do think if you say no repeatedly, people won't ask you again. So, so being clear about, that you are open to taking on new tasks or new activities, is really important. And sometimes you feel a little overloaded, but that kind of builds up your strengths as well. And then you can, but it's important then to step back once a year and say, hey, am I doing what I want to be doing? Is there some area that I can step away from now? And so I think that's important. But I don't know. I guess I encourage people to be a little overloaded because that's you're busy then, and you have a couple of irons in the fire,
right? And it gives you an opportunity to take one and run with it, right? Yeah. It keeps that flexibility of what you can do with your career kind of open. Yeah. Be adventurous. Don't be afraid of change. Your career is a long journey, and there's opportunity to do all sorts of things. And don't be afraid to walk through that door and say, I wonder where this will lead. And as I said earlier, there's no harm in saying, I walked through that door, it wasn't what I thought, so I'm going to redirect again. And I just think having the courage to embrace change, I think that will be very helpful as you go through your career.
Right. And I think we have a lot of resources here at Brown. So the Brown Medical School has the teaching center. There's lots of research opportunities. And so I think there are many opportunities that are around. And I think that if you have an interesting idea, float it past, some of your mentors, and it could lead to something very interesting. And, you've got something in the back of your mind you've been thinking about, and clinical question, and how can we address this in a research way or explore it in a different way? I think those are the wonderful perks of being in an academic center. And again, I'm really happy to sit down with any of the faculty, talk about your career tracks and your CV, and think about some opportunities that you might have. I think this is a wonderful time to be in medicine, and just good luck with your journey.
Thanks for listening to Karen and I. It's been a pleasure. And if there are any questions that you have or any way that we can help you, please don't hesitate to reach out.